Yo, what's going on, True Blazer fans? It's Tori, and I gotta say, it's a little bit weird to be recording with Facecam again. I'd say the last time I did this was probably July, so it's been like 4 months or something. And I just figured I have the opportunity to record with Facecam, which is rare. Okay, so don't expect this often at all. But if I get the opportunity to, I am going to start doing this as much as I possibly can. That might be never, that might be once a week, maybe for mailbags, that'd be something cool. I just usually have people all up in my house, so I can't record in here, so that's why I usually don't do it. In this video, it's kind of going to be like a therapy session. And hopefully it's therapeutic for you, because if you're a true Blazer fan like me, then me and you can relate on the struggles and the frustration that we have for what our Portland Trail Blazers have been doing the past couple of games. Now, there wasn't a Milwaukee Bucks recap, and like I've said in the past, I'm not going to be able to get out every single game recap. You know, stuff comes up in my life, and I always end up apologizing afterwards. I always end up saying, sorry guys, I missed the game recap, but you know, sometimes it's going to happen. And with that Milwaukee Bucks game, there was really nothing to recap. We were getting blown out from the 9-minute mark left in the first half throughout the rest of that entire game. So I figured, why even go over the game? There's nothing to talk about. Let's throw it away. Let's go beat Golden State. And then we played Golden State, and we played just as bad. So now I'm going to go over what I think is going wrong, and it's a bunch of issues that have affected us in the past. It's all the same issues that are the reasons why we can't win a playoff series. And for me, it's mostly coaching staff. I hate to say it, you know, Terry Stotts is a great guy, somebody that would be very cool to meet, but I don't think he's a good NBA coach. A lot of people disagree with me on this, so if you disagree with me, I'm going to try and change your mind. Because I just think there are so many issues with the way that we're coached and the way that we play basketball that I think are going to haunt us in the playoffs, and we still might rattle off a 50-win season and look great during the regular season, but I feel like these weaknesses are very easy to exploit during a 7-game series. And not only that, but they're already being exploited now. The main thing that I think plagues us is an absolute lack of ball and player movement. Now, there were multiple possessions, especially in the first half of that Golden State game, where the Blazers did not move the ball at all. There was multiple possessions where we didn't even have a single pass. Now, during the preseason, Stotts and Olshey were both talking about how they wanted to have a little bit more shooting and a little bit more ball movement. And we saw a little bit of promise during the preseason. I actually talked about it in a couple of videos, how I thought that we were progressing on that end, and hopefully we were able to play a different style of basketball this year when compared to last year. And it looked promising early on. We got off to a fast start, but it's regressed back to the way it was last season. This game is a perfect example of an anemic offense, and I know we gave up almost 130 points. I know they were hitting everything, but our lack of offense played into that. Our lack of patience played into that. Some turnovers played into that. I also feel like when you're struggling to even get a good shot off, it's a little bit harder to play 100% on defense just because you don't have that spirit. You don't have that good feeling. You have absolutely no momentum, especially in a place like Golden State, which still has a very loud crowd, even though they've been struggling. You know, they're defending champions, and they'll feast on anything that you're doing wrong. Even with Steph and Draymond out, they're the type of team to be able to turn your lack of momentum into momentum for them. But what's to blame for a lack of ball movement? My first reason is we have a lack of differing sets. We don't have a variety in terms of our sets, and a lot of our sets involve too much perimeter circling movement. Hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about when I reference that, but we have a lot of movement where we'll have guys just circle around the three-point line. We won't cut to the rim, we won't back screen, we won't do anything like that. We'll just have a lot of dribble handoff into some pick and roll, and if that's not there, we'll hand it off again, and then we'll pass it and run a flare screen out to the three-point arc. It's just all perimeter movement, and it doesn't put the pressure on the defense because there are no cuts or screens freeing up guys cutting to the rim. Our offense completely bogs down when teams simply deny these actions, and there are certain games where We've done a good job of back cutting, but right now I'm seeing a lack of back cuts when we should be back cutting. And even if we are back cutting, we're not quite getting free, and if that back cut isn't there when they're overplaying, then we have no offense. An offense should not be that easy to stop and shut down. I mean, how many times have you seen us struggle to simply hand off the ball because we're being overplayed? It happens all the time because that's almost all we do and it's easy to defend. I hear a lot of people say that Dame and CJ need to do a better job of passing the ball, of moving the ball, and while CJ does miss an open pass here and there, Dame has shown that he does a good job of passing the ball in my opinion. He had back-to-back 11 and 12 assist games just a few games ago. He's the guy that can hit an open cutter. He has good vision. I hear people say that they need to do a better job getting their teammates involved and passing them the ball and getting them scoring opportunities. But you also got to think about the passes available to them. I haven't seen them missing passing opportunities in these last 2 games where it was an opportunity for a teammate to score. They haven't been missing passes where their teammate would have had a good shot. So you want them to pass the ball more. But what's going to come of that? Everybody is standing around on the perimeter, either standing or simply replacing each other, all cutting around in a circle around the arc. So Dame and CJ swings it to Jake Layman or Al-Farouq Aminu, and if they don't have an open 3-point shot, then what? These guys aren't known to drive, they're not good at slashing to the rim, and that wouldn't have really been them passing the ball to set up a teammate at all. That would be them freelancing out of a set. It wouldn't be a set play, and them creating something out of nothing, which is what Dame and CJ constantly have to try and do. So it'd be the same type of basketball as we're playing. And also, when you have 4 guys around the arc that aren't cutting, that aren't exchanging, that aren't really screening, and it's simply dribble handoff, the defense is set that whole entire time. And then when you have somebody like Dame or CJ try and drive, the defense is so set, and the defense is able to focus on the ball so much that they're driving into a forest. Numerous times I saw Dame try and attack the rim in that Golden State game, and he ended up getting blocked by somebody where if that player didn't block it, they had another defender that was in position to block the shot. With a lack of off-ball movement from certain players, the defense doesn't even have to worry about them. They just have to worry about what Dame and CJ are going to try and do. But what else can they do? They're not really being used off the ball. There aren't sets that are designed to get them driving the lane in space. There aren't sets that are designed to get players cutting open to the rim. I rarely see us run a UCLA screen, which is where the point guard passes the ball to the wing and then cuts off a post that's at the elbow and he screens. It's basically like a back screen, but he cuts in front of them. It's kind of hard to describe some of the lingo that I'm using if you don't know. So if there's a term like that you don't know, Google is a good source. You can, if you want, pause this video, go look up a UCLA screen. You wouldn't know what that is because we don't run them. A good play would be to have Jusuf Nurkic on the weak side block and have somebody screen across for him and he flashes across the middle of the paint. We run that screen actually, but it's to simply screen Jusuf Nurkic for Jusuf Nurkic to come up to the ball to set a ball screen. It's not to get Jusuf Nurkic open inside. It's to screen Nurkic into him screening in a pick and roll, which is basically our entire offense. And it comes down to, if you can guard the pick and roll, you can guard the Portland Trail Blazers. And that's why teams in the playoffs focus all their attention on how they can best guard the pick and roll. And then you have guys like Al-Farouq Aminu being left wide open. And even if he shoots well, he's not going to beat a team by himself. A lot of these problems are problems that I think are due to the coaching staff. But it also might be a problem with the mindset of the team. It seems like when a set bogs down or falls apart, our initial reaction and thought process is for whoever has the ball to isolate and try and create something out of nothing by himself. At most, we'll run a pick and roll. You see a good team like the Warriors, if a set bogs down or they kind of get stuck, it seems like all 5 guys on the court, their immediate thought is to try and screen for each other, cut off of each other, move off the ball, swing the ball, and then cut. You know, fundamental team offense. We don't have that initial reaction. And that's not really the fault of the guy with the ball because usually it's Dame or CJ or Evan Turner. You get stuck, a set falls apart, and you have 4 guys standing around you just kind of like looking at you. It's almost as if they're kind of watching from the front row, expecting you to do something to bail them out, instead of cross-screening for each other, and maybe that opens up a guy curling to the rim. But you can also blame that mindset issue on the coaching staff as well. They should be drilling into these guys that when you get stuck in a set and you're off the ball, you need to cut to the rim, you need to screen away so somebody else can cut to the rim, and then you relocate, maybe even fake a cut to underneath the basket, and then try and cut off somebody setting a pin down. You know what I mean? But that takes multiple guys kind of being on the same page and knowing how to play with each other. But that shouldn't be an issue because most of these guys have played with each other for multiple years. Cohesion should be our strength. We should be able to freelance in an offense and be able to work off of each other even though it's not a set structure. That should be drilled into them that when one guy cuts to the rim and then stops, somebody else on the floor near them is thinking, okay, I'm going to set this guy a pin down, and then he can come off that to the mid-range, maybe catch the ball, and then maybe that collapses the defense, and then we can kick, get some ball movement that is sparked from that action. But no, we stand around, and we isolate. And it results with Dame and CJ trying to go 1-on-2. And it results with Blazer fans saying, Dame and CJ need to do a better job of passing the ball. They need to get their teammates more involved. They're playing hero ball. They're just chucking up a bunch of shots. They're selfish. I guarantee you that is not the issue. And if you disagree, let me know why. But let me know why based on the lack of specific basketball options that I've outlined in this video. Tell me what Dame and CJ and Evan Turner are supposed to do with the ball in a structure like this. Let me know why you still think they're selfish and they're playing hero ball and they're just looking for their shots when they don't have good options to pass the ball that provide a good scoring opportunity for the team. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Well, as much as you could have, because it's been a bad stretch of Blazer basketball, so I hope maybe you can relate to my frustration and maybe that helps you out, because in times like this, it's very frustrating for me. And without being able to make a video like this, I would have been frustrated for the rest of the night and the next day. But this channel just gives me an opportunity to let it all out and then move on. Otto Porter Jr. trade video should be coming tomorrow. We're going to be talking about what I think of a possible Otto Porter Jr. trade, how I think he would be a great fit in Portland. And we're going to look at some possible trade packages as well as what you guys think. And that's all I got for now. This has been Tori. Go Blazers.